Everywhere I turn, someone's comparing us crazy. I never would have thought when I was bumping Biggie and Pac that I would buy bleach in a box and become the product of shade. But I'm here now. Hi, my name is Tom McDonald. People call me controversial. I'm the one that counterculture follows. Every song I drop's a problem.
You never know what you'll find in a Wisconsin summer. So get out there and explore by bike, trail, or boardwalk and discover all the wonders of Wisconsin.
Every song I drop's a problem. I offend an awful lot with topics commenting on race and politics. I'm pretty awesome. Dear Slim, I know we're very different politically. Seems like some of your biggest fans are the victims I'm triggering. They're convinced I don't like you, which ain't consistent with history. I was picked on as a kid and they don't know what Slim did for me. But I'm here now, and I fight the system just like you. Was addicted to pills and liquor and quit them just like you. People claim that you hate me, but Marshall, that can't be right, dude. You'd have to hate yourself as well as Marshall. I'm you. Marshall, remember back when you became Eminem. You changed the world with a pen. Well, now I'm just like you. I don't give a what, saying what I want with my fingers up. Everybody's ready. But I don't give a what. I don't give a what.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Smack Talk Live. I am Coach Lone Wolf. And I'm sorry for being a little late, Lone Wolf. I had to book my flight for our trip.
It's very important.
Not
going to deny that.
Got a great deal. If anybody listens to this show that has been to LAX, please reach out to me. I have a 10-hour layover going to Vegas at LAX. But I'm saving like $120 on my flight. So
well, there you go. All right.
I leave at 6:30 in the morning and don't get to Vegas until like 8:16. So
spending a lot of time in LAX. All right.
But I mean,
anything cool to do there, then
there's got to be stuff to do. It's one of the biggest airports in the world.
I would think so. Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe I'll run into some celebrities or something.
Hey. It's LA. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do some a short show while I'm sitting there.
I mean, yeah, you could.
Who knows? But anyways, so yeah, had to do that.
We're probably gonna end up doing a show from Vegas, considering that
we will. That
time, yeah.
The show that week will be in Vegas. That'll be our first show where we're in the same room together.
Yes. Yeah. Weird, but true.
That'll be weird. And who knows? Maybe that could be like our first like video podcast too, because for those of you listening, before we get going here on what we're here to talk about sports, we may not be like live recording the show on Podbean in the future, because it'll be a video podcast, but the audio version would still go to Podbean.
Right.
So all our followers and listeners will still be able to download it, but it won't be live anymore. If you wanted to interact, call in, things like that, you'd have to go to the new platform once we get that up and running. It's more on my end with the internet. I'm trying to get hardwired here. It's just the wireless doesn't allow us to really do video very well.
No.
Where I'm at.
A few attempts, I think, and that hasn't really worked out.
So
we'll get there.
We'll get there. So anyways, this week in sports, been kind of a quiet week.
Yeah,
yeah. To be honest, nothing earth-shattering. I guess, updates on the Aaron Rodgers saga. It's funny, reading some of that stuff, Lone Wolf, because I think, like I said, until we hear it from Aaron, we're ignoring it. I think that's most people with the Packers and in Green Bay and that are Packer fans are kind of like, until we actually hear Rodgers saying, I want out,
Yeah.
we're kind of like, whatever. And
I think everybody's kind of gotten to that point. It's been a little saturated. Like, okay, James Jones has a perspective and John Kuhn has a perspective. Everybody has a perspective, but Aaron hasn't said anything. Not directly.
right. And well, where I was going at with that, you now have teammates that are saying the same thing. They're like, you know what? We don't know what's going on, but until we get up to Green Bay and he says something, we're just going to go about as business as normal. So,
right, exactly.
Which I think is the smart thing for the Packers to do. Just again, they control everything here. And people can sit there and say, oh, Rodgers has all the leverage. Rodgers has zip leverage. He has no leverage whatsoever.
And I think a lot of this continues to be generated by people wanting to create more of a story out of it than it is. I mean, it just seems like the mainstream sports media continues to hammer on it as if it's a story. Every single little thing is talked about, and they keep asking, no matter what it is. They're like, LaFleur, what do you think about it? Hey, what about this Packer player? What about this ex-Packer player? Everybody has to give a perspective on it because they just keep talking about it.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like what I they keep hammering at it, and I think it's right now it's a null story. It does not
really
mean
is.
anything.
Yeah.
The rumors are, that Denver's in the lead. Well, I'll tell you right now, and all the at least level-headed people are basically saying if Denver wants Rodgers, they have to give up 2 young studs and at least 2 first-round draft picks. And I'm going to go out there and say you need to give up the 2 young studs and at least 3 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, and I don't even know. I mean, are they seriously prepared to do that? Would you really do that? I mean,
well,
you're saying you're ready to win right now if you do something like that.
Well, that's the thing, and that's what people are saying. They're saying so you get Rodgers, but you lose the core you've been trying to build.
Right.
Because Judy is one of those players. Is that they're saying they would have to give Judy up. Well, now who do you have left at wide receiver? You're going to put Rodgers in the same situation as he technically is in Green Bay, probably worse at receiver.
Probably worse. I mean, because the Packers, they people can say whatever they want about the Packers having no receivers. They have Devontae Adams, and I mean, they can criticize everything else, but the Broncos don't have anybody of Devontae Adams' caliber. And if you take away a young guy who could develop into that, then they really, truly have nothing.
Right.
So
yeah, so it's interesting to listen to this stuff because it's like, are you kidding me? It's funny. It's so funny to listen to.
It just doesn't make any logical sense, Coach. I mean, they talk about, we have a contract ready for him. Well, you can have a contract ready for him, but as a team, would you even be ready to have that even happen? I mean, you're giving up so much to get him that you're not even going to have a quality team to make a run at the Super Bowl, which is what you're aiming to do in the first place.
Well, I don't really agree with Greasy too much, but he even came on and said Rodgers knows his best chance to win is in Green Bay.
Yeah. It's true.
In Green Bay, you have to get through Tampa Bay, one team, right?
Right.
So you're probably going to make it to the NFC Championship game, unless something freakish happens.
Right.
Yeah,
that's your best title chance right now.
In Denver, you might not even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So again, be careful what you wish for, Aaron Rodgers. If that is what you are wishing for, is that you don't want to be in Green Bay anymore. The big news there, and we texted a little bit about it, is that the Packers are bringing in Blake Bortles. I think people can say what they want. Is he a great quarterback? No, but I think he's one of those guys that is he's like a Trent Dilfer.
Mm-hmm.
He can manage the game if he has weapons and you have a smart coach. He can manage the game to allow you to be successful. Now, is he going to make your offense unstoppable like Rodgers does? No.
Right.
But when you have receivers and weapons like Green Bay has and a running back like Green Bay has now because Aaron Jones re-signed, yeah, you don't want to say, oh yeah, we can survive with Blake Bortles. But if the worst case scenario happens and you have Bortles and Love's not ready, yeah,
he's serviceable. I
he's
agree. I mean,
serviceable.
yeah, their offense is good enough, and I think what you see is, look, you put him in there, and this is assuming that Rodgers would either be sitting out or be traded. You put him in there and you let him play, and if he really just stinks up the joint, then you finally say, okay, let's see what the young guy has, and
Right.
you put Love in there, and then you run with him and see what you got. But yeah, I fully expected that they would bring in a veteran of some type,
It
given the situation.
and I don't think this is going to be the last veteran they bring in. I think you can find there's a veteran out there that he may be on a roster. They may be on a roster right now, but they'll get cut.
Yeah.
Things like that they'll bring in at least during training camp. Um, but how about this? And I'll throw this out there and see if it catches any fire. There's two quarterbacks out there that would love to make one more run at a championship. Name one of them. They're both
Are they
they're both technically retired.
okay? Well, Drew Brees, maybe.
Drew Brees, 1 year deal. Drew, come on.
I don't know if he has enough left in the tank, but maybe.
I'll tell you right now. You take the Packers offense versus the Saints offense. I think Brees could. I understand Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, are good.
Right.
I don't think they're as good as Devonta Adams and Aaron Jones.
I think the offensive line in Green Bay might be a little bit better. I mean, people might argue that Corey Linsley being gone makes them worse, but as a group, maybe I think they're better. So that might help considerably.
Who would be the second one? This
And
one
now
might
they're
be
both
harder.
okay. Both of these people are retired or not?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And I'll tell you right now, I would make the second guy would be the first guy I would make a call to and be like, what would it take for 1 or 2 years?
I'm racking my brain.
He'd do unbelievable, I think, in this Packer offense.
I mean, the only thing like Alex Smith retired from the
Nope.
Redskins, but
Nope.
I don't
Wasn't
think it's not him. Yeah.
has been retired for at least one season.
Oh, okay.
Not a recent retiree.
Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing.
Oh, come on. He's a former first-round draft pick.
I don't know. It's just like frozen in my brain. I can't.
Andrew Luck.
Okay.
Why wouldn't you kick those
Well, that's been
tires?
more than a season. Yeah, he's been done. Yeah.
Kick those tires, man. He's still young.
Yeah, he is young enough.
He's
Yeah.
got an arm.
He had a lot of injuries. I mean, that's why he left football.
But 2 years, rest, recuperate, get a chance to make a run at a Super Bowl title.
Yeah, no, I mean that is a valid thing. I mean, if you could
I,
drum him up,
I'm just telling you right now, if the worst case scenario happens,
sure.
the Packers don't trade Rodgers and Rodgers says, I'm done, I'm retired. As a GM, you have to kick the tires on Andrew Luck. You have to.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
have
think
to at
so. I
least
think
make a phone call and be like, hey,
this team is ready made to win a
right,
title.
right. You have to. You have to. And if you don't, you should be fired.
Yeah.
So just curious to see if
That's
it's
what Tampa did, right? I mean,
yeah,
they just said, "Hey, we're going to build this team, and we're going to put a guy in here who knows how to win
right,
championships." So,
right.
yeah,
So that interesting. Yeah, there's options out there that I think people aren't thinking outside the box on.
yeah. I think they're probably just thinking about guys who are currently in the league and
Right.
ready to go. Yeah, yeah.
But they're saying, well, if they trade Rodgers, they'd get Luck and Judy and a first round draft pick. No, the Packers don't want Luck or Lock. They don't
They don't
want.
want Locke. No one wants him. I
No
mean,
one wants
I'm
him.
sorry to Drew Lock, but he's
I
not a good quarterback.
I think
That's
it's
been shown
funny
against
because
him.
everybody's like, oh, we still have Drew Lock. It's like you traded for Teddy Bridgewater.
Right. There's a reason why you did that. You don't have faith in your quarterback.
I'll tell you right now, if I'm making a trade with the Broncos with Aaron Rodgers involved, I want Teddy Bridgewater, I want Judy and Chubb off their defense, and
Yeah.
3 first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater in the Packers offense would do good too.
Yeah, he'd do pretty good. I mean, he
You
did
know
pretty
that
decent in Carolina
that's
considering their
that,
offense.
and that's what I think people are not understanding is that in the way the Packers are structured right now, yes, Aaron Rodgers makes them an instant Super Bowl contender. But if you even have a adequate quarterback, this is still a very good football team that can make a run at a title.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It becomes more difficult. You can't have as many mistakes.
Right.
But they're still in that conversation. People are saying, oh, there'll be one guy goes, they're going to be 6-10. Well, you're wrong, dude. They can't be 6-10. There's 17 games, you dope.
Right.
First of all,
yeah.
get
Know the new
with the
schedule.
program.
Right.
And I love it because I like reading a lot of the Denver Bronco fan stuff, and they're, oh my Lord, they're like, we're having Aaron Rodgers, we're winning the Super Bowl. You realize you have Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes in your conference or in your division.
Right.
And in your conference. And then you also have the Buffalo Bills.
A lot of other good teams
and the Cleveland
in the
Browns
AFC that you have to go through. The Bills and the Browns and yeah.
You look at the NFC, if Rodgers would be shipped to the AFC, you'd have the Buccaneers and the Rams.
Right.
There's 3 teams in the NFC that can win the Super Bowl. The Rams, the Packers, and the Buccaneers. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no other team in the NFC I'm looking at and I'm like, holy cow, they're pretty good. No, that's it.
No, I feel like it's just going to be up for grabs as far as who makes the postseason. And barring another trade or something in the middle of the season or whatever the case may be, right now, I don't see it. I agree. Those are the teams, and that's it.
So, but yeah, so it's it's going to be interesting. But I really think people need to, first of all, just relax with it. I don't think Rodgers is going anywhere. I get there's reports that he's in Green Bay right now.
Yeah.
So,
we'll see how that all plays out.
We'll see how it works out. They're like, oh, he's not going to participate in minicamp. Who cares? Favre didn't go to minicamp multiple years. Why does he need to go to minicamp? He knows the offense.
To me, that tells me absolutely nothing about
Right.
what's going to happen in this situation.
A lot of veterans don't go to minicamp.
Yeah.
So, all right. Moving on though, Lone Wolf. What else do you have? I don't have too much. That's about all I had for this week.
Well, I think we can touch on the NBA and go through a couple of the storylines there because we are getting close to playoff time for the NBA. We did talk about that a little bit last week, but the biggest storyline to me, and we did hammer on this last time, but I want to talk about it again, is you look at the standings for the NBA, and we can go by conference or we just talk about it generally first. But the biggest storyline to me is that the Lakers are the number 7 seed in the West now.
Yes, and it's funny because that game that knocked them into the seventh seed was they were playing that game during our show, and they were starting to make a run on it, and I thought they were going to come back and win that game when we ended, and then all of a sudden they lost.
Right.
So,
I mean, I would just say, looking at it, they won their title last year. To me, and I don't remember if you said this or I said it or we both said it was the end of the run, basically.
Real quick here though, that's what I wanted to say here. I hope the Packers are going to trade Aaron Rodgers to the Broncos. They just lost their wide receiver Deshaun Hamilton to a season-ending knee injury. They've already lost a offensive tackle to season-ending Achilles injuries. So you want to go play for the Broncos?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Everybody's dropping like flies in Denver. I don't think Aaron's gonna look at that and be like, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Sorry, I just the report just.
No, I hear you. That's good. Yeah, just throw it out there.
No.
Breaking news: you have got less players to work with in Denver. Yeah.
Right. So, but anyways, continue.
Yeah. No, it's okay. So, I just thought that was interesting, and I think as we were talking about whether they were going to ever have some type of run, I think this is it. I mean, they had their shot last year. They got it. There's no Lakers dynasty on the horizon.
No.
This is it for them. They're not winning the title this year as the 7th seed in the Western Conference. There's too many good teams in the Western Conference, and they're not making it out of the first round, second round. I don't know. I mean, either way.
Well,
I'm just saying
LeBron is listed as iffy right now. Still, he's banged up. His career's winding down, and the longer he continues to hold on, it's going to hamper the Lakers. He did what they wanted him to do: deliver a championship to LA, get them back to be relevant. Well, here's the thing. You knew when he signed that huge contract that he only had a couple years left.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you gave up and let a bunch of your young core that you were developing leave or traded them away. And so now you have to build around Davis, which I like Davis. I think he's a great player, but you don't have the other pieces around him to be a sustainable title contender.
No, absolutely.
Especially in the West. Like right now, they're half a game behind Portland, but I believe Portland has the tiebreaker. Portland has 1 game left. The Lakers have 2. So Lakers have to win out, and Portland has to lose their last game for the Lakers to get out of the play-in.
Right.
Now, my question for you, Lone Wolf, because you follow basketball more than I do.
Yeah.
How does the play-in actually work? Because you have to have 8 teams, so 2 out of the 4 teams get in, right?
Yeah. So
Is it a round robin or?
Let's see when this actually starts here because I think they have a bracket for it. Yeah, it's actually expanded based on what they were doing in the bubble last year. So it starts.
I don't even remember what they did in the bubble. to be honest.
Okay, all right. So the number 7 and the number 8 seeds have to earn their way in, and the number 9 and number 10 seeds also get a chance to go in to play. So this is how it works. So the number 7 and the number 8 face each other, and the winner becomes the number 7 seed. The number 9 and the number 10 face each other, and then whoever wins that game
Plays the loser of the 7-8.
Plays the loser of the 7-8, and then
And
play the winner of the 9-10 winner plays the loser of the 7-8 for the 8th seed in the playoffs.
Okay, all right.
Yep. So it is kind of a round robin. Yeah.
Yeah, it sort of. It's kind of like a ladder tournament. You get
that's probably a better way of putting it. Yeah.
You have a 1 through 4 ranking. The 1 and the 2 play, and basically if the 2 wins, they jump over the number 1 and are locked into the 1, and then the 2 plays the winner of the 3-4 to get the 2 seed.
Right. And so, I mean, the nice thing about this for your team is if you're 9 or 10, you do have to play an extra game. I mean, so you have to play in the 9 and the 10 play, and then you have to play the loser of that 7-8. And then if you win that game, then you're in as the A seed. So then you play that series. So, I mean, you do have a lot of basketball there, but I mean, if you are one of these teams, you get a shot here. I mean, if you're the Grizzlies or you're the Spurs, you got a shot.
Well,
I mean, you're in the running.
And what I like about it is now you nullify that argument that they should get rid of conferences because you're leaving out teams that are over 500.
Yeah.
Because you should have, you would assume the Grizzlies would beat the Spurs because on record, I mean, the Grizzlies have won 4 in a row. I mean,
they're playing well. Yeah.
They've elevated themselves up to that 9 seed. And then they would play possibly a Lakers team that, even though they've won 3 in a row, now they've kind of are not playing.
This is what I love about this play-in, though, Coach, is look at the storylines that are generated as a result of the play-in. The Lakers play the Warriors. How cool is that? I mean, you've got a team that's resurgent, this Warriors team who had been winning a bunch of titles, had a horrible year last year. Now they're back in the postseason, and now they play the Lakers, who were the title champs last year. And I mean, that's a storyline in and of itself.
Right.
So I love
that'll be interesting. So when you look at this, I'm going to assume the Lakers are going to be stuck at the 7 because I don't know who the Blazers.
The odds are that they would be. Yeah.
The Blazers play the Nuggets.
Which is a tough out, yeah.
It's a tough out, but here's the thing: if you're Denver and you're looking at this, right? You look at it again, looking at it from front office. You possibly could move up to the 3 seed with a win and a Clippers loss.
Sure.
Again, you'd have to look at.
I mean, for me, and when you're in the middle like that, does it matter who you play? I don't know. If you're the Nuggets,
you can't. The Nuggets, you're not. If you lose, you're not going to drop out of the 4. You're locked in.
The worst you're doing is the 4 seed. Yep.
The best you can do, and I don't know if they could get the 3 because
I don't think so.
No, because the Utah's
played 71 games, so they can't.
No, because they would tie record-wise with the Clippers, but the Clippers are a division champion, and the division champions get the top 3 slots. So they're at 4 no matter what. So they might say, you know what, we're going to rest some guys because guess what?
Would. Yeah.
We would love to see the Lakers have to do the play-in bracket.
Yeah. Well, because, I agree. I mean, look at it either way. They're playing the Mavericks in the playoffs no matter what happens.
Right. I would say, Because if I'm sitting there, if I can kind of control who's in the play-in bracket,
Right.
because here's the thing: if all of a sudden LeBron gets healthy and starts playing like gets on a roll,
On a
and
tear,
Davis gets
yeah.
healthy and gets on a roll, the Lakers become a very tough team.
They do, right.
Why wouldn't you want them to have one shot to win to make the playoffs?
Well, if you put them in the play-in bracket, then you automatically guarantee
Right,
that they're playing more than one game just to make it in there. They're the
right.
7-8. They win that, then they got to beat the 9-10. So I mean, they have
Well,
to
no,
beat
not
both.
if they win. If they
Oh,
lose,
right. Not if they win. If they win, they're automatically the 7. Sorry.
right.
Yeah. If they
If
were
they
to lose, though,
lose,
then they
then
have
they
another
got to
shot
play
to
a
win another game.
second
So
game
yeah,
to get in. So I mean, you're looking at, again,
you're still forcing them to play extra basketball by doing that.
right.
Yeah.
And that's extra basketball that LeBron James cannot afford to play right now.
No, not at all.
He
No.
just can't. So
All the
uh,
mileage that he's put on his body over the years. Yeah.
yeah. So when you look at the West play-in bracket, again, we're just going to assume it stays the same. When you look at this, what two teams there do you honestly think are going to come out and like who do you think the 7 is going to be? Who do you think the 8 is going to be in that playoff bracket? I got my thoughts here,
Sure.
but I'll let you go first.
Okay. I mean, for the 7 and the 8, I think that I honestly think that the Warriors are going to win in this game. I think they're going to beat the Lakers, and the Lakers have been sliding this second half of the season quite a bit. Unless things change, like you were just talking about, I don't see that. The Warriors have been kind of on a little bit of a tear lately, and I feel like they're playing for something again. Like they're playing for that respect. They want to recapture that respect. And I think they can, and this is just one game, right? So I think they can easily beat the Lakers in that game, and they'll be the 7. And as far as the 9-10, and then who becomes the 8 there, I think the Grizzlies will beat the Spurs. But then I think the Lakers will probably end up beating the Grizzlies and be the 8 after that whole thing shakes out. So the Warriors at the 7 and the Lakers at the 8.
And the funny thing is, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. And then I think the Lakers get bounced in 5 against the Jazz.
Yeah.
I, I mean, technically the Suns aren't eliminated from the 1 seed because they have 2 games left, but
Right.
I'm just going off of the standings aren't going to change in 2 games.
Yeah, and I don't think they will either. Yeah, I think the Jazz.
So we both like the Warriors jumping to the 7, Lakers don't fall into the 8. Now here's the interesting thing though, because the Warriors and the Grizzlies both have 2 games left.
Right.
Let's take a look here. And the Warriors,
and they're tied right now, completely and totally.
The Warriors are winning right now. The Grizzlies are losing by 3 to the Kings. So if that happens, you can guarantee that probably they won't flip flop position.
Yeah, and that's how it'll shake out. Yeah.
But if who was their last game? They only have one. Do the Warriors not have another game left?
They should. They only have 70 games in.
Yeah, let me see their full schedule because on the listed game they only. Okay. Oh, last games versus Memphis.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so they play the Pelicans and then they play the Grizzlies. Yeah.
Right. So if they both win this game, the last game of the season is going to dictate who faces the Lakers. So let's play the what if. What if the Warriors go to the 9 and the Grizzlies go to the 8? Who do you like?
If that happens, I think the Lakers will probably end up beating the Grizzlies. I mean, I think the Warriors are a better team, so that's kind of how I feel about it. But if the Lakers play the Grizzlies, the Lakers will win that game, and then I think the Warriors beat the
Yeah.
Spurs, and then the Warriors beat the Grizzlies, and then
Yep.
that's how you have it flip flopped. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I agree there. So
yeah,
that's interesting.
yeah,
So
yeah, definitely. But see, look at that. I mean, that adds another element of drama. The Western Conference is just so many different storylines going on right now, going into the postseason that will be interesting to watch, and I think that generates a lot of fascination around what's going on
right.
with the NBA playoffs.
So let's hop over to the East playoff picture right now. Because
Yeah,
this is pretty, I mean, it's not pretty much locked in. But the 10 teams
just
are
about though.
the 10 teams are set.
Yeah,
The only jostling could be the 8, 9, and 10. Because you have the Hornets, the Pacers at 33, 37, and
right.
the Wizards at 33 and 38. So they're a half game behind, and I don't know
Yeah,
if
so you've got a little bit of potential for some movement there on the bottom.
right. So you have that possible. Washington could technically vault all the way up to 8 if they win their last game, and Charlotte and Indiana both lose their last game.
Right,
Um,
right. So it's possible there. I don't know that I don't think that's going to happen. I look at a couple different things, but one thing that stands out to me is the Wizards are 15 and 26 in the conference, and that's the Eastern Conference. So, I mean, they're just not very good overall. I mean, I don't trust if you can't beat the teams in your conference during the regular season and you have that type of record. I mean, that means you've beaten some teams in the Western Conference, and I get that, but not it doesn't really engender some strong feelings when you're playing against your own conference, the weaker conference, and you're not doing well. So
right. Um, so yeah, and that's you look at the 7 through the 10 in the East versus the West. I like
yeah.
the bottom 4 in the West much better than the bottom 4 in the East.
Oh, there's to me there's like zero storyline with this play-in in the Eastern Conference.
I mean, the only thing is that to be determined here is um, who's getting the 8. If the Celtics
Yeah,
lose to any one of those 3 teams, which they could because they're just stinking her up lately,
yeah, they have been.
um, unless that happens, they'll be the 7, and then it's basically who's going to get knocked out in the first round by either the Sixers, the Nets, or the Bucks.
Right. Which and I mean that's really what it is. That the Western Conference has more intrigue because of the teams that are involved. The East is a three-horse race, and that's the bottom line. I mean, you look at the other teams in the East. I remember at one point in the season, early on, one analyst had said the Heat are dead and they're never going anywhere this season, and it's over. Well, they're now the 5 seed, so you were wrong. Which I said at the time that he was wrong because it was too early in the season to make that proclamation. So, they're an intriguing team, but I don't feel like they have a run in them like last year. The Hawks, my pick as far as coming into the season, they're a nice team, but they don't have what it takes to win a title. They're not there yet. So you've got 3 teams that could potentially come out of the East to me, and that's it. And that's what kind of makes the storylines not as intriguing.
Right. I think what's intriguing here is that everybody once Harden signed with the Net or got traded to the Nets, that everybody was basically like the Nets are unstoppable.
Yeah.
and they're not even they're more than likely not even going to be the number one seed. I mean, they still could. They're a game and a half back of the Sixers.
Right.
They're only a game up on the Bucks with 2 games to go. So I mean, and again, I think the Bucks hold tiebreakers on both those teams. So if they all tie,
Yeah.
if they all finish, well, I don't think the Bucks can get them 1 because the
I don't
six.
think they can. The
No,
76ers have 48
yeah,
wins,
the,
so
the best the Bucks can do is the two seed, which
right.
they could get. And I don't think that really matters. I think the focus for the Bucks has been we're in this to develop for the playoffs. We don't care what our seeding is.
Well, and if the Bucks lose these next 2 games, it's irrelevant because they're the 3 no matter what.
Right.
The Hawks can't catch them. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, it really probably doesn't make one bit of difference, and it honestly doesn't even matter who their first round opponent is to me.
But and I mean, a big game here is that they have the Heat
Yeah.
tomorrow, which I think it's not a game they have to win, but I think you're going to see them come out and play to win that game
I
because
agree.
it's an attitude setter to basically put last year behind them.
Right. Especially with, that being the team that
Right. And that's what I'm saying. That it kind of like, okay, we've moved on now. We've forgotten about last year. They're not in our heads. Yeah, okay, you figured out how to you know, take away Giannis, but now look, we got these other guys. We don't need who now what are you gonna do?
Yeah. What
So
I like about them heading into the postseason, and people can say whatever they want, but a couple of games recently that I've seen, Lopez was the leading scorer in a
yep.
couple of those games, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, okay, look, you've got Holiday and you've got Giannis and you've got Lopez and you've got all these other guys. You've got people who are leading scorers, and this guy is not. Lopez has been in the league for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a premier top flight player, but if you can win in those ways with him being your leading scorer, then you can definitely succeed in the postseason because your stars sometimes have an off night.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, yeah, and then they still have Middleton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then you have a lot of you can generate points in other areas. I think what's intriguing with the Bucks is this. Well, looking through their schedule, they'll play 3 games against the Heat. So right now they're 1-1 versus them. So I think tomorrow, again, it'll be more of a mental boost for them to win tomorrow than anything. To just kind of get the monkey off their back. But when you look at, the 76ers, just trying to look for them. I think they
honestly, I mean, you look back at what the Bucks have done just over the last couple of weeks. They beat the Bulls, they beat the Nets, they beat the Nets twice actually.
Well, and that's the thing. They're 2-1 versus the Nets this year, and the only time the Nets beat them was on a last-second 3-point shot.
Right.
Okay. They've played the 76ers twice, and they beat the 76ers twice. So against the 2 teams in front of them in the East, they're 4-1.
Yeah, that bodes pretty well, I would say.
That tells me that they are there. Now they had a clunker here against San Antonio, where they lost by 21.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what happened there, but I mean they've scored 100 points in I don't think have they scored less than 100 points in a game this year.
That I don't know. I mean, they're averaging 120.2 points per game, which is
They've scored.
So
they've scored only under 100 points one time this year, and that was 98.
Yeah.
I mean, and just look at these last They scored 142 last night, so they can score in high scoring games or win in high scoring games, 142, 133, but then they can win in for them a low scoring game, 114 to 102. So and then they can, they beat the Bulls 108 to 98. So they can win in multiple ways.
Yeah.
So I think this is a different mentality than in the previous years.
Right. I
Uh,
agree. Yeah.
I think, they were kind of like we are, we're just so dominant that, we're just gonna go, 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 go. We want that number one seed because you remember the talk last year that the Bucks were going to try to beat the Bulls or the not the Bulls now it's the Warriors single game win.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That was the big talk that
Yeah,
they wanted to get to.
and,
Yeah.
I think when you start talking about that stuff instead of just if it happens, it happens. You aren't focused on the ultimate goal, which is winning a championship.
Right. And that's what
And
they are now. I mean, they have
right,
the depth and the roster, I think, to do that. You know, um, I mean, yeah, they've got two teams in front of them, but if their regular season record says anything about it, I think they can beat both of those teams and put themselves in the NBA Finals. So,
right, and so and just again, I'm looking at the scoreboard here. I mean, you have supposedly one of the better teams in the West right now, losing to the Rockets by 10 in the fourth.
yeah,
You have Memphis losing to the Kings in the fourth. Golden State's thumping the Pelicans, which isn't shocking. Washington beat Cleveland. Okay. Denver beat Detroit. Okay. Philadelphia beat Orlando. Okay. And then Utah beat Oklahoma City. Okay. Great. It doesn't tell us anything. So this is, game. I think it's Sunday is the last games, I believe, Sunday or Monday.
yeah.
Um, and then I think
Well, the play-in I think was on the 18th, so the first play-in game.
yep. So
So
I mean, it looks like almost every team is playing on Sunday. Um, I'm just looking at the matchups here, see if there's any really important matchups to really watch. I mean, so far tomorrow there's none. Well, Miami, Milwaukee, I think would be one to just kind of keep your eye on. Boston at New York on Sunday. That's big for Boston.
it definitely is.
I mean, it's just more again getting some momentum. You've lost. You're 3-7 in your last 10 games. You're not playing well.
Yeah, they've
Um,
lost 4 in a row. So
right. Memphis at Golden State. That's huge for the play-in purposes.
right. And both of those teams are streaking. I mean, they won 4 in a row
Right.
apiece. So
Other than that, there are really no good regular season games the rest of the way.
yeah,
I mean, Orlando at the 76ers, that doesn't really, I mean, Brooklyn
yeah, that
has
does nothing.
two very winnable games, but I don't know. I just, again, I'm not sold on them.
No.
I'm just not. And people can say whatever they want because they have Harden and Durant. I'm not sold on them winning the title. Unless something happens, I just
Well,
yeah.
and you look at teams, to me, I look at teams that have stars, but what really makes those teams win titles, right? There's a lot of complementary players that those teams always had. You talk about those Bulls teams in the 90s. You talk about the Lakers teams that had won with Kobe and Shaq. People talk about Kobe and Shaq, but what about Rick Fox? What about Robert Ory? I mean, those guys contributed so much to those
Mhm.
teams and were so key to those teams. What about the Golden State Warrior teams recently? People talk about Curry, but there's so many other guys on that team that contributed to their success. And the Nets, to me, don't have that depth. They have 3 guys who are superstars who are slammed together this year, and they can succeed because they've got talent, but the rest of their roster doesn't do anything for me particularly in the postseason, as far as complementary players are concerned.
Right, exactly. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. And again, and now I think you look at this, the Bucks are no longer in the have to win now sweepstakes, because you've Giannis has signed an extension and Holiday has signed an extension. They're both under contract now.
Yeah, you're locked in with those two guys.
That's your if you have to replace Lopez, replace Middleton, and move people, you're still fine. You got your two core guys.
Right.
Build around. So the Bucks are going to be in this position for the next 3 to 5 years. So I think that pressure to have to do it now is off. They want to do it, but I don't think there's that. I think Giannis, a lot of people in Milwaukee put a lot of pressure on Giannis to win the last couple of years because they didn't know if he was going to resign.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Now that he has done that, yeah, the pressure isn't the same as it was. He'll be there, like you said, for 3 or 4 years for sure.
Right.
So, and he's young enough. So
the pressure to win is always going to be there until he does it. But I don't think it's like, okay, I don't have to do it all on my own right now.
No.
So,
and it's not the same as when we talked about, like at the beginning, with the football, with Rodgers. I mean, the pressure's there if he were there to win now. I mean, that's a different situation. But yeah, for Giannis in Milwaukee, I agree. It's not. We've got some time, but you're in a good position to win the whole thing. So.
Oh well, yeah. People are starting to. They're starting to drool again because supposedly the Nets' big three is supposed to be playing against the Bulls tomorrow for only the 8th time. So Irving, Durant, and Harden have only played together 8 times this year. You're telling me that there's going to be good chemistry there come playoff basketball time?
Absolutely not.
You
can't even say. There's no way you can say that. There's no way that can be said. And
but people are going to say, "Oh, now it's on. It's on."
Right.
It's on because
because they happen to be playing together in the 8th game of the 8th time in the whole season. Are they even going to be playing together in the playoffs the whole time?
Probably not. Probably not, because somebody's going to get it. Harden still has a hamstring. He missed 5 weeks because of a hamstring injury. Guess what? He's getting older. That thing is going to get hurt again in the playoffs. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Yeah, I guarantee it. That's all I'm going to say. That one or two of them are going to get hurt this season.
Yeah, I foresee that as well. I mean, it just statistically has not happened. They haven't played all together this whole year, so it just feels like that's going to be the same thing in the postseason. And we'll see them get enough postseason basketball to where that's going to happen. I mean, because they're going to have more than one series. We don't have to. They're a good enough team. They're not going to get upset by whoever they're playing. If they play the 7 seed, they're not going to lose to that team. And then they'll play, if they're the 2, they play the 3, however it plays out. But they're going to have enough playoff basketball where I feel like, one of them's going to get hurt at least. And there you go.
All right. Well, you know what time it is, right? Right?
I do. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. You just told me that you had one. I didn't know what it was. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. This is pretty good. It's a pretty good one.
Damn it, Beavis, I'm right here.
All right, everybody. What you're hearing is it is time for our Beavis comment of the week, and I was just scrolling through the ESPN app, and this, yeah.
Okay, this sounds good.
Hopefully, this is the right soundbite. But this is what. Hopefully, this is the right soundbite here. Once we get the commercial out of the way here, I didn't have time to cue it up.
Can the Heat
That's okay.
actually challenge the Nets in the East?
Hold on, Molly.
Okay.
Molly. Look, everyone didn't sleep on the Heat last year. Okay.
Oh, my bad.
There was one person sitting up here talking about the Heat, and I'm about to talk about them right now.
Okay.
Them goons from Dade County. They're putting their ski masks on at the right time. It's summertime. It's hot out. You know the goons are lurking. And look, when you watch this Miami Heat team, they play inspiring, winning basketball on both ends of the floor. Offensively, you're running your offense through Bam, where he's dribble handoff, and guys are cutting back door, taking buckets, going on the block, taking guys off the dribble, 1-2 dribble pull-ups, making plays for others. They have shooting, and Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, Trevor Ariza, Bosley Bet on both ends of the floor, and defensively, they lock in. They are on your heels like a pair of
Here it
socks
comes.
defensively. Bam, one of the best defender bigs in the league, right after Anthony Davis. A guy that can switch 1 through 5, a guy that can anchor the defense, great weak side shot blocker, helping the helper, things to that nature. But most important,
right here,
they have one of the best coaches in the game today, a top 5 coach ever in the history of the NBA. Eric Spoelstra. He throws things out there.
What was that? We got to hear that again.
What?
Top 5 coach ever in the history of the NBA. Eric Spoelstra.
First of all, Wolf, who is this individual?
I was trying to think about that the whole time you were going through. I don't know. I was trying to think about it. I'm like, who is it? And I couldn't think of it.
It's Kendrick Perkins.
Former player.
Kendrick Perkins.
Okay.
Eric Spoelstra is one of the top 5 coaches all time in the NBA.
In the history of the NBA.
In the history of the NBA.
You know,
Red Auerbach, Phil Jackson. That's just 2. Let's see, who else was there? Chuck Daly. I didn't even put Larry Bird up in front of him. Spoelstra's boss.
Greg Popovich.
Greg Popovich. There's 5 right there.
Right.
Well, what is
Eric
Kendrick
Spoelstra
Perkins
is one of the
smoking?
top 5 coaches in the history of the NBA. You know what? He was fine. I don't agree with him completely, but he was fine right up until the point he said Eric Spoelstra was a top 5 coach. Now, he could have even said he's one of the top 5 coaches in the NBA this year.
Right.
People could have debated with that, but at least it would have been an opinion that had validity. Top 5 coaches in the history of the NBA?
Yeah. In the history. Why? Because he won titles with LeBron James?
I mean, what?
You cannot give him credit for winning those titles. He was a mannequin set on the bench and told to sit down and shut up and let those guys win titles. By Pat Riley.
Who right there,
Right.
coach, you just said it. Pat Riley, another coach who's probably better than him.
Right. Danny Ainge.
Rick Carlisle. I mean,
George Karl.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God. He must have.
And I realize there are other guys like Jerry Sloan is a great coach. He didn't He was with the Jazz for a long time. He
Right.
fell victim to those Bulls teams, but I'd probably say Jerry Sloan is a better coach than him.
Yeah. I said it in my text. The NBA continues to keep on giving with our Beavis comments. The NBA commentators have given us more Beavis comments than any other league, and they are like up there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They are up there, like some of the best
these are
Beavis
ridiculous
comments ever.
And I gotta say, I don't even know. I mean, we're just going through coaches. Like Don Nelson. Did we even say Don Nelson?
No.
He has the most wins in NBA history. But Eric Spoelstra's top 5.
Top all time.
All time.
You know, don't put Steve Kerr in there.
No.
You know.
He's got a few titles under his belt as well. So
and he actually developed and coached that team.
Right.
Because he didn't go out and say, okay, Dwayne Wade, okay, you went and recruited LeBron James and these other guys to this team. The Warriors drafted, signed, and developed their team and coached their team. Again, Spoelstra didn't have to coach those teams.
No. I mean, I give him credit for the coaching job that he did last year.
Right, yeah.
And he's a good coach, but oh my God, he's not top 5 in the history of the NBA. I mean, there's a guy coaching right now who has a ton of wins. He doesn't have 1,000 yet, but he's getting pretty close, and that's Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
He's probably, I would consider him a better coach than Eric Spoelstra.
Right. I mean, we've just listed about 10 coaches.
Yeah.
That are better than Spoelstra.
Right. All time.
Perkins, I get you like the Heat, and you're excited that they can make a run like they did last year, and they may very well could be. They're a good team, but I don't get how you can say Eric Spoelstra is a top 5 coach all time.
I don't get it. I
do not get it.
End your comment at what you were getting at. Like, the Heat are good. I have faith in them in the playoffs. They do all these things. Eric Spoelstra's a top 5 coach in the league this year. Blah, blah, blah. Done. End of discussion right there.
Right.
That's it. That's all you got to say.
But he didn't.
No. Oh, my God, no. That is deservedly one of I mean, that's a deserved Beavis comment. Absolutely.
So like I said, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So,
and I think part of the problem is, you look at this and all of these guys are trying to, I don't know, create headlines or get noticed or something. So they have to say something outrageous to be.
You never know what you'll find in a Wisconsin summer. So get out there and
go ahead.
I was just saying, it feels like all of these guys say something that, they want to make a headline. They feel like they have to say something outlandish to make another headline. Like, why can't you just give an opinion and be good with it? I mean, to me, predicting that the Heat are going to make noise in the East playoffs is enough of an opinion and a headline in and of itself. You don't have to say something ridiculous just so people will be like, oh, wow, did you hear what he said? It's stupid. It's ludicrous.
Yeah, well, we get it every week, and these are just the ones that we find.
I know. I know.
Again, the talking heads in sports media, I don't know if they even think about what they're saying.
I don't know. And I think part of it too, Coach, is that, they'll say something and they figure, well, it'll be forgotten by, next week or something because there's another storyline that'll come up. and maybe they just feel like I'll say whatever I want and people forget about it and they'll move on to the next. But it's out there in the media and it can be looked up at any time and brought up at any time. So you say it on the record. I mean,
I'll tell you right now, if the segment wasn't the Beavis Comment of the Week and we just went back, just found out outlandish sports comments,
yeah,
we could go back years.
Oh, for sure.
And find thousands of these things.
Yeah,
there's all over the place.
I think one of the biggest things is that these guys they won't apologize for what they said, which they don't have to apologize necessarily, but they won't go back and say, you know what, I was wrong about that. I mean, I hear a couple guys say that, but they won't most of the time do that. They'll make these outlandish proclamations, and then that's it.
Right.
And they can be so completely wrong, and yet, you get on there and you get to give your opinion, and you're completely and totally wrong, and you don't feel like there's any need to give your listeners something that, I mean, some of it's sensationalized. I get it, but you say something dumb like that, and there's no recourse for you whatsoever. Yeah, Eric Spoelstra is one of the top 5 coaches in the NBA ever, from the beginning of the NBA until now. Okay, yeah, that sounds great.
So
let's get a hot take from Kendrick Perkins, next week.
yeah. We'll see what he's saying after the couple of playoff games. Yeah. So, it'd be funny to find him like a comment bashing Eric Spoelstra.
Right. Yeah. Right. After the Heat lose, 4-0 in their series or something. Yeah.
We'll see. Anything else for tonight's show, Lone Wolf?
No. I think that covers it. I think we'll get into the NBA some more once the playoffs start rolling here.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Again, we're trying to get back down to that hour-long show. We got way off base there for a while.
Yeah. Well, and some weeks are busier than others in sports,
but thank you, everybody, for listening, for downloading. And like I said, at the top show, if anybody's had a long layover at LAX, drop me a line. I need stuff to do in July because I have a 10-hour layover there on my way to Vegas for me and Lone Wolf. We're going to have a couple of fun days together, do a show out there. And maybe, I don't know, do we have anybody else joining us yet?
Right now we do not. So now it's just the two of us, but it could grow.
Okay, we try to bring a crew out there, but we will have to touch base on Wolf on what our plans are when we get out there. So we may have to get on the phone here, maybe this weekend if we have time and start planning some stuff out. Now that we have dates and our room is confirmed. So we're good to go.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
So thank you, everybody, and we will talk to you next week.
Good night.
Rappers are carrying, they're constantly comparing us to you. It's embarrassing, never gaining their approval. It's just hate we're inheriting. But I'm here now. Go ahead and hate it, don't hurt. Call me culture vulture, garbage. Those are ignorant words. I kill a vulture, cook the poultry in a pan till it's burned. See, Marshall, I'm just like you. I'm flipping the bird. Dear Slim, I just want to give you your flowers. I spent hours memorizing all of your songs in 2000. You were the reason I screamed at all of my teachers. A teen, I needed your CD on repeat and shady space on my t-shirt. But I'm here now. Call me controversial, just like you. We're both white, both rap, both of our eyes blue. Screw any guy who tries to say you changed